Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Talks. We are here to talk about why are old Hollywood movies better than the movies we are getting today, and we'd like you all to take part. Get in the comments there. Let us know why you think modern movies are failing to captivate the audience. They're few and far between. Um, Just hang on, we seem to have a niche. Christian is coming on, but I don't know what's going on there. Just bear with me for a second, folks. My Facebook is being acting all that weird. I don't know why. See, I don't really use Facebook that much except to post, the odd video maybe, and I don't know what's going on there. Oh, there. So it didn't send. Okay. There it is there. Hopefully he'll get it now. There you go. Right, yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about. I sent it there. I did send it actually while we were doing the countdown, and I think I left Facebook too quick, and that's why maybe it didn't send to you, but I've sent it there now. You should get it. So that's what we're going to be talking about for the next half hour, 40 minutes, whatever. So yeah, as I said, give us your opinions. Let us know why you think modern movies fail to captivate the audience. For example, the Flash movie has been recently released, and of course, I haven't watched the movie, and I don't intend on watching the movie. But I've seen the leaks. I've seen the bad CGI. I've seen the very bad cameos. And I've seen the clip as well, which is, to me, just shows the lack of disrespect of some of the beloved characters that we grew up with are treated with such disregard. And we got Christian here now, who's joined the legend of the traveling Tardis. But we got Lindsay in the chat, and we got Chris in the chat. And Chris has just said, it's very simple. They were designed to entertain, and if impossible, instill a teachable moment, but not aggressive nor done to lambast those who do not agree with you. And that's absolutely spot on. I mean, you look at the old movies, Christian, and even now, because that's what I do, like nearly almost every night now. I've been on a bit of a John Candy buzz, actually, watching
I don't blame you on that one.
movies, and I watched a couple of Steve Martin movies as well. And I mean, even the comedies are far more superior than the so-called comedies we're getting today, because it is, isn't it? It has. I want to actually ask you this: has the modern politics that Hollywood want to impose on us, has that, in your opinion, kind of destroyed the movie industry?
Yeah. I mean, look at what movies are going now, and what are the common denominator criticisms across these movies, and good storytelling. There's a difference between and this is one of the things that I use as an example. And I know you don't want to talk about New Who, but this is the best example I can get. Orphan 55. I think would have been a better use of getting the message across if they just had Jodie Whittaker for 3 minutes on a YouTube channel talking about the effects of global warming than that whole episode. And she could be dressed up as the 13th Doctor. I don't care. But that, if she was just doing a lecture. One thing I always say about good movies and the message is that you didn't even know you were being lectured to, because you were so entertained about what was going on that you enjoyed the movie so much that you're still talking about it weeks later. And then the message comes into play. And now you're starting to have conversations with friends about movies that have come out. You can have messages in movies. You can be, you could talk about the morals of your point of view. But now movies today are just, and I think it's not helping with the mainstream media as we see it today. They come out and just go, "Oh, look, you know what? This thing is happening," or, this person of color or something, and they're dangling it in front of you, going like, you should appreciate this more. And like, I'd appreciate it more if you weren't shoving it in my face. Sometimes things can just happen naturally. It's just like, oh, cool, they have this person going on in here. Then somebody throwing out there and going like, well, oh my God, there's an Asian in here. You should appreciate no. If they can act, I already know that I can know that for a vast majority of people who have talent, and I do stress who have talent, they can act. Can they take something from a page and a director take that page and make it something magical where I am lost in the entertainment? And if you're teaching me a message, that's just going to go in there naturally. When people come out and say these horrific things about fans, I'm like, do you even know who these people are? When people go like, Whovians are misogynist, all those typical words, I'm just like, we're Whovians. Do you really think that's what you think of us? Do we really need to be bashed in the head for a moral story? All we are looking for is a good story. And if you can use that story to show what a moral is and encompass it in a burrito of entertainment, you'll be surprised what people will think.
Yeah, I mean, we got movies like I Am Legend that have gotten messages across, but they're absolutely fantastic movies. I mean, I Am Legend is probably up there. Everybody loves that movie with Will Smith. I know some people who've read the book prefer the book, and that's fair enough. The book is always going to be better than the movie. But again, that did not deal with a virus or something like that, and the human race basically being wiped out. So there was a message there. They've done it before in the past with movies. There's always a message in movies. There always has been. The thing is, as you've said, and we've all been saying, is now it's like there's no when they actually had the message, they show both sides of the coin, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? They didn't shy away from it, even if the filmmakers didn't agree with the opposite side of the argument. They put it in because they left it to the audience to decide themselves, even though they had their own opinions. Now we've gotten to a stage where, well, it's their opinions that matter only. And if you don't subscribe to that, as you said, we're dehumanized by all of these labels that they put on us. And all we want is to be entertained. Listen, I give the Fast and the Furious movie franchise, I said, oh, geez, the 10th movie, right? But I kind of looked at it this way. The reason why some people like the Fast and the Furious franchise is because it's mindless fun and there's no fucking hammering and messaging over your head. It's just, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's there to entertain. Same with Mission Impossible franchise. There's none of this politic or messaging, well, if there is messaging in it, it's balanced because Tom Cruise is like that anyway. He might have his own views, but he lets the audience decide. He's always done that anyway. But this is why all of these movies, now, obviously there's a few exceptions. We're saying why is old Hollywood movies better? Yet they are, on the whole, old Hollywood movies are. There is an exception. There is some good Hollywood movies coming out today. The problem is they're few and far between. And if you look at these big so-called blockbusters, I mean, even The Flash, I brought it up at the start of the stream. It's going to flop. Look, no matter what people say, that movie is going to flop hard, right? And if you forget about the controversial background of your lead, if you were to just base that movie off its CGI and from the clips that I've seen of the dialogue, I'm sorry, you're only setting yourself up to fail. And then you add the fact that the lead of this movie choked the woman out on camera and did some other stuff and actually got into trouble for it. And then you still release that movie, and then today you announce you're getting rid of Wonder Woman. Well done, DC. You've just killed yourself now. It's done.
I've told people I have no intention of watching that movie, and I've already expressed my concerns. And it's just like, I'm just like, I'll watch it on, clips on YouTube where they're specifically showing Michael Keaton and stuff, but I'm not going to watch the movie, or at least I don't want to give credit to it, because I think the route, like you said, the route that DC took, please get in my head. I'm like, can you explain this to somebody who may not even know about DC, like coming off the street? How would you explain this to somebody where, we had the DC movies were okay. There have been some good examples, but we were rushing to things because we wanted to catch up to Marvel because they were way ahead of the schedule. So we started putting things together and it got sloppy. We had a couple sloppy movies, and now we got rid of our main cast, but kept this one cast member who, is, I'm sorry, it's a better term, a criminal.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly, no, you're right. There's no shying away from it. And I hate the way YouTubers kind of float around this issue. Listen, the fact of the matter is he's a criminal, right? And Hollywood decided, well, we don't care about his past, right? We're just going to release this movie anyway. They got rid of the Batgirl movie. Listen, I know all the bull crap that movie got, and I seen the clips and it looked terrible, right? But if you're going to get rid of Batgirl, right, for those reasons, right? And if you look at what we've seen in clips, the CGI looks bad in this as well. So what was the excuse for that? Because that's what they said. They said that the Batgirl movie wasn't up to standard. Well, neither is this Flash movie. Even if you take out Ezra Miller, Ezra Miller equation out of it, right? You look at that movie at face value, it's very poor quality, right? So why didn't DC shelve that movie too? Well, you know what I mean? It makes no sense. And I do, you know what? I have no fight in this, right? But I think it is bad for the Batgirl fans who wanted this movie, right? It doesn't matter how bad it is to me, you, or everybody else out there. They should have put that movie. Do you know what? I would have accepted that movie over this crap that we got, because I seen some of the cameos that were leaked as well, right? And all I'm just going to say, because I won't ruin it for anybody that's going to watch it, if you are going to watch it. But let's just say this, that bringing back, how do I put it without giving it away? Bringing back old characters from the DC universe that had movies, say, back in the 70s and 80s is not a good idea, when the lead in the movie obviously has issues as well. What I've seen DC do to characters that we grew up with is it absolutely shameful anyway. And on that basis alone, I was never watching this movie. I'm not going to watch the movie. I could watch it right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to watch that movie. I feel very strongly about this. This is one movie. And look, while there were some cameos that I heard about that, I was absolutely, and Michael Keaton, listen, I wanted to see Michael Keaton as Batman again, right? And it hurts me that I can't watch this movie, because even I know some fans out there say, well, I'll ignore all of the stuff that he's done and the fact that it's got bad CGI because I want to just see Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm sorry, but
I'm curious the people that he's afflicted this, this horrific things done. How do they feel about having him have a movie, and and people just disavowing their situation? I mean,
that's the thing. That's going to that's going to bring relived our trauma to them every time, because it's going to have posters everywhere. The movie's going to be everywhere. And you're right. We're about these victims. Why are these victims just cast aside?
Exactly. I read that one article where the woman thinks that, because of his performance, it absolves him of all of his crimes. I've said, you are an idiot. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't know on what planet do you think that somebody who's committed criminal acts and offenses like he has gets a free pass because his acting is so good. That's BS.
Yeah, I
No,
heard someone
that's
write that as well.
ridiculous.
Some bloke,
Can't.
the Asian reporter that does all of that reporting in America, he even wrote up and says, I don't care how problematic Ezra Miller is, the Flash movie is actually good. And I felt like responding back to him because it did. I'm not going to lie, right? I don't get easily triggered. You know that, folks. But I was triggered by that. I was like, I want to reply to this fella, but then I thought, no, we probably bleed retweeting and all these bleeding fanatics will come after me. But that's not the no. I'm sorry. I don't care how probably it. See, this is what's happened with society. There's no morals anymore. They don't give a crap. I mean, wait and you see, right? Give it a year or two. But Amber Heard will be back in Hollywood. She might be living in Spain right now. But someone will give her a job because time will pass and they'll think that she'll be able to come back. She won't, of course, but they'll try. And that's the problem that we have. They've no morals. They never had in Hollywood anyway. I don't even know why we're
Oh
talking.
no, they've never had. But I mean, here's the thing, and this is where I've seen other podcasters bring this up. What else is she going to do? What else? She
OnlyFans.
Even then, I meant there might be that one or two. Or
listen, she'd get all our Sims following her on OnlyFans. She'd make money.
Like I said, I meant when you rule people out to the point where they cannot do stuff for themselves, and I meant people deserve to be shunned, yeah, but you can't chastise them completely. It meant she still has to work, and technically she kind of paid her due if you believe in the justice system in that particular case. Does she deserve to be shunned? Yes, of course. No, yeah.
I don't think she should work in the look at. It seems to be kind of not allowed, or women are given a pass. I think that's probably the wrong word to use. But let's just say, right, and it's a hypothetical scenario because it is hypothetical. I don't think it really happens. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But if the situation was reversed, right, and it was a bloke that was making all of these accusations and it turned out he was a liar, right, there would be no way back for him. But because Amber is a woman, there's still a possibility that she could get a chance of a comeback. And I'm sorry, if you want equality, like they all bang on about, and she's one of those bangs on about equality, well then, sorry, love, you've ruined your career. You're done. There's no way back for you. Because if that was a man and it was the opposite, he made up all of those lies, right? He'd be shunned and he'd never be given a job in Hollywood again. So if we're going to talk about equality and doing things properly, she should never be allowed back on a movie studio again. So what man would want to work with someone like that when they know that this woman is capable of lying and making up stuff about them? I wouldn't want to work with her, I can tell you that. And if any of these actors and actresses out there in Hollywood actually do have morals, moral beliefs, they wouldn't work with her either. But we do know that Hollywood is shallow anyway. But we got a couple of comments. Just let us read them out there before you jump in there, Christian.
Sure.
Let's be real. The real why current Hollywood sucks is because of two things: the internet and social media. When they arrived, movie quality nosedived. Yeah, because a lot more influence because the creators were listening to all of these knobheads. But we'll go on, continue. Chris Persia writes, there is one message in the Fast and Furious, and you're right, it is the family comes first, because I did watch the first three movies, but you're right, and it's wrapped up in mindless entertainment, and I think that's it. And it does have a wholesome message, because family means a lot to everybody out there, but there's certain people out there that want to get rid of the whole family dynamic. There's nothing wrong with it. Live your life the way it makes you feel happy. Do you know what I mean? And families come in different shapes and sizes, as they say, and all of that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with family values and traditional values as well, But it seems to be a dirty word nowadays. Chris again says, no, don't forget the test screening for Batgirl tested better than the Flash movie. There you go then. There you go then. So they made the wrong decision. They backed the wrong horse. Look at, I'm not saying we'd all sit there and we would have all enjoyed the Batgirl movie. It probably would have been a disaster, right? But we don't know. We really actually don't know. It probably would have, we never know. But they bet all their hedges on this movie, and it's backfired. And I don't think, listen, I'm going to say it now, I don't think the Joker 2 is going to do much for DC either, right? I think now, and I was saying this to Tom Connor's Midnight's Edge, because he was tweeting up about, because when I said I was talking about Gail Gadot not coming back, and he says he reported it ages ago, and I trust his sources. I was saying, I don't think DC is going to recover from this now. I think this is it. They hedged all their bets on this. That's why we had all the rumors of Tom Cruise coming out saying it was a great movie. Even James Gunn himself trying to big the movie up and hype the movie up. Listen, they knew it was bad and they still went ahead with it. So what does that tell you? It tells you that DC does not respect its audience, right? Because you wouldn't put out substandard shit. I'll say it, substandard shit. That's what they've been throwing out these last couple of years. Same with Marvel, same with Doctor Who, but I don't want to get into Doctor Who. But you see it, it's all over the place, right? It's substandard.
Well, when it comes to DC, there was one thing I said. If I made a vow that in a certain movie, if a certain character was killed off, I would never watch it again. I would never watch anything going forward from DC again. And that character was killed, and I was like, and not only that, they were killed unceremoniously. I think unceremoniously.
Tell me who you're talking about in the private chat.
I'll say it. The Thinker. I agree with everybody on this. They said you really just killed a great You should have kept him. I mean, he should have been a big deal in there. And then when they did that, I said, I'm never watching.
Look, I said it at the time, and I got criticized for it because everybody was singing the praises of that movie. But the Suicide Squad with James Gunn was absolutely shit movie. I don't care. I still have the same opinion. Me and Cheryl was looking forward to the Suicide Squad. Actually, I would have to say that the Suicide Squad is our favorite group of she loves it, right? She's even got the Harley Quinn T-shirt and all of that. She even has a wig, believe it or not. She did it for a fancy dress one time. She still has the stuff. But the thing about it is, we sat there while we went to bed and we decided, you know what, we'll watch the new James Gunn movie because Guardians of the Galaxy. I did like the first one, so I said, you know what, we'll give it a go. Peter Capaldi was wasted. Right, and what shocked me the most is that all the men in it were portrayed with either weaknesses or were bad fathers and all of this. But yet, the Phantom Menace, who were calling all of this bullshit out before, were praising this movie. And I was like, are you for real? This movie is shit. What are you praising this movie for? It's absolutely ridiculous. I got stick for that. I was the only one that actually came out at the time and criticized that movie, and I still haven't changed my opinion. That big star thing is absolutely ridiculous as well with the eye. I'm sorry, that thing was a joke of a movie, and I know people like that style and want James Gunn to do that style going forward with the DC. It's not my cup of tea. The way Christopher Nolan did the Dark Knight trilogy, that's the way I'd like it to go. I don't like all of it, like it to be too comic booky. I'm sorry, but I don't. I'm a casual viewer, right? As a casual viewer, the casual viewer wouldn't have known what the crap they were watching when that movie came out, right? And that's the point. Casual viewers wouldn't have had a clue what that star thing was. I didn't. The only character that I knew was Peter Capaldi's because obviously being a Doctor Who fan, I read about who he was playing. But even he was wasted in that film. And I don't care what, and he was wasted in that film. You get such a terrific actor like Peter Capaldi to play that character, and then what? You give him absolutely hardly any screen. No. Best scene in that whole movie was the Harley Quinn scene. It was the only thing that I liked about that movie is where she's in that gaff and she kicks ass, man, and she does all what she does. That was the only part of that movie I liked. right? The rest of it was trash. Trash.
If you really watch, like, with the exception of maybe Karen Gillan as in the Marvel films, I'll explain what Chris. Let me elaborate on that because I understand what you're. I didn't clarify on that note. Let me get to that. But with the exception of Karen Gillan with Marvel, all the Doctor Who's, they're never really used in a movie proper. I think Morbius, but nobody watched Morbius. When I heard it was trash, I was like, oh, I was excited that Matt Smith was in it and I was going to see it. Then everybody told me it was just a dumpster fire. It doesn't even use Matt Smith too well. I'm like, oh, well, then I'm not going to watch it. But if you like Terminator Genesis and, the Suicide Squad and all the Doctors, they usually just show up for like a couple minutes. What was it? David Tennant in the Harry Potter movies. I mean, they just show up as really supporting characters, which I call. It's just like they're on the screen for hardly anything. And I remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger went crazy on social media, going like, "Yes, we have Doctor Who in Terminator Genesis, so we think it's a good match." And I'm thinking, okay, well, he's going to be. Oh, he's the bad guy too. This is great. Let's see how he does as a baddie. And nothing. So I was like, that was bad. And Chris, let me elaborate on that. When I say pay her dues, she went to court and everything. All the evidence we found out, was laid out. So I think you're right. I hold me to that.
What you're trying to say is that she got her punishment. She was found out to be a liar, and basically, in that way, she's kind of paid her dues. Is that what you mean? Because that would be a fair comment to make, I would say.
Well, it all came up in the wash. So yeah, pay her dues. Let me retract that. Sorry, Chris. Let me retract that particular statement. I would say everything came in the wash, and everything we saw from her. Because remember, at the very beginning, it was Johnny Depp who was getting railroaded, me too'd every 5 seconds. He was bad and bad and bad, and then all of a sudden the tides turned because we saw him in court. We found out who Amber really was, and just like then was a turn. But you still have fans that support Amber, even with everything that came out in the wash. And I'm just like, okay, well, I can't help.
But they're brainwashed, though. Those, and it's mostly women. But those women are just they're brainwashed, and it's sad to see because I've even seen posts and people were backing me up because I threw them up on Twitter. I see them popping up every so often over these last couple of years, but there was even posts for some women out there. Listen, if a woman accuses you of SA, just accept it because you men have oppressed women for so long. It's about time that, and I was like, no, why should I? No, but this is they're brainwashed. Listen, you're right. The evidence is right there in front of their faces, right? It's clear as day that she's a liar. But yeah, they're so convinced that she's the victim. Because, look, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes. You don't have to be a body language expert. But if you look at Johnny Depp's body language compared to Amber Heard's body language when you were up on the stand, that's all you need to know. You can tell which one's the victim and which one is actually the abuser. It was so fucking obvious, man. Right? Johnny Depp was hardly making eye contact. He was embarrassed to be up on the stand. Whereas Amber Heard, she was being snipey. She was chewing away on something all the time as well, because she was always putting shit in her mouth as well in the UK place, because to give her time to think about her answers and all of that. Look, she slipped up so many times, but Stephen King and James Gunn both said The Flash was the greatest superhero movie ever made. A movie which, by looking at the numbers, won't break even. Well, I'll tell you now, I can tell you what the greatest superhero movie is, in my opinion. Right? And it's the Zack Snyder version of the Justice League. For me, that was the absolute pinnacle of comic book movies. The thing about it is he had to use a lot of CGI and stuff and reshoot stuff to make that movie work. But by God, even the way it is right now, that movie is just epic from start to finish. I watched it recently again, man. And I couldn't believe how the hours flew. Like everybody was complaining about the length of that movie, but you don't even notice it. when you're watching. It was, listen, just that version, Zack Schneider's Justice League for me is the best one. Close second would be Captain America. Um, and then you would have Winter Soldier. They're probably my three favorite movies
I'm I'm
that
gonna
I've
be
watched
honest,
over the
Noel.
years.
When it comes to movies today, well, against the movies I grew up, and especially now, um, oh, Chris, I just want to make sure we were on the same plane. I heard what I said when you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I sound like an idiot. I needed to explain that,
No, but
but
I think Chris said, and I knew what you were trying to say. You know what I mean? That's why it was
yeah.
good to clarify, though. But we knew what you were trying to say. But yeah, go on, carry on your point there.
Well, I want to use an example of an old movie that is still my favorite to this day,
Yeah,
and
what is
now
that?
it's a rarity to even see this movie. It used to be like everything, it used to be like if you watch any of the regular channels here, what I mean, like ABC, NBC, they're always playing Marvel or DC movies over and over and over again. My favorite all-time movie, which I know is problematic today, is Patton. Still today, I still have a movie that can beat that type of movie. And I think that movie was, if I'm not mistaken, like maybe 2 to 2.5 hours long. And if that movie ever shows up on screen, like on TNT or something like that on a cable channel, I'll actually watch it from wherever the point is and watch it to the very end.
Mm.
It had great acting, great directing, amazing cinematography for its time, no CGI. We're way before this. I mean, the stuff that you see is real, what's happening out there, or at least they make it as real as humanly possible. And I didn't even know at the time when I was growing up, the story was mostly like 75% contrived. I thought it was like a real like documentary made into a real story, but some of it didn't even happen, or it happened in a way, but they were storytelling it. But still, it was awesome. George C. Scott, the very opening of the whole movie, you could just have that and that's it. That's the great one of the greatest parts of the movie. Um, and to me, that is a classic that they should keep running. Plus, everybody was going like it. From what I understood during its time when people started talking about it, it was like it's a pro-war film. And I said, no, no, no. If you really look into this, it's anti-war.
Mm.
It's just focusing on a guy who, and even the Germans tell at the very end, his death is going to be because there is no war. He needs conflict. He needs this to happen. He will die, without without war. He needs to be in a conflict. And I think at the very end, that's why you get to see him. He was trying to push the Russians a little bit into that. And, according to him, according to the movie, his mouth is his worst enemy. I thought it was brilliantly done. And I mean, I suggest anybody watching that movie, even the first time, and get the popcorn. Now it's going to be a long movie, but there's no moment where I was just, yawning or anything of that nature. Everything riveted to me. I mean, and it knew when to balance out the drama with the comedy, because you would have those few zingers in there. Um, there were comedic moments, but that was supposed to lighten up so it wouldn't be a full on drama. Name a movie you believe. Oh, sorry, that was you.
Yeah, I'm asking the chat there, so the chat can get going on that. So name a movie, folks, you believe holds up today, and tell me why you like the movie in particular. But a lot of the movies we did grow up with, that was the best thing about them. There wasn't CGI, wasn't the thing. It had to be practical effects and all of that. And I think this is another reason why I think all the movies are better than today's movies. Today's movies rely too heavily on green screen and CGI. Now, the one thing I'll say about the Mission Impossible franchise, you can see it, Tom Cruise does his own stunts and stuff like that. And they still use practical effects in those movies as well. Now, I'm not saying they don't use CGI, but they're able to blend them together seamlessly. It's not all reliant on CGI. I mean, if you all remember George Lucas's god awful, prequel trilogy, that was just CGI. I mean, that you watch that today, that trilogy is feckin' awful, folks. Well, Phantom Menace and definitely Attack of the Clones have aged very, very badly. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Well,
I just
if
don't get. I mean, you look at the writers; they're on strike. Not that I agree, but you have all of these people that work in the special effects department all going on strike as well, saying that the conditions are bad. They're not being paid well. They're not being given the funds to do what they need to do. It's just they've just gone lazy. It's laziness now at this stage.
yeah.
I mean, it was easier for them to put out the Flash movie than it was the Batgirl movie. Now, Chris said it there in the chat. The Batgirl movie apparently did better at the way they do the screenings for people before they release it to see what the feedback is. Well,
Mhm.
apparently it screened better. It did better than the Flash, but yet they thought the Flash was the right movie to go with. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And after seeing those cameos, right, all I'm just gonna say to DC anyway is fuck you. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say it. I mean, you will see what I'm talking about, folks, if you do watch it. I mean, I've even advised Charlotte. I said, look, if you love old characters that they did back in the day, this is not the movie for you to be watching because it's gonna you're gonna be angry. You're either gonna be angry or it's gonna taint those characters, and that's how I feel about it. It's
Well, if you
disgraceful.
think about like movies in the '80s, which I think is the pinnacle of movie making, some of the best movies that ever came out, like Scarface or Airplane. God, how problematic would that movie be if they tried to bring it up to the present day? Amadeus. I mean, those movies would be looked upon as problematic, but they were storytellers in their time, and we all enjoyed them. Full Metal Jacket. But
Oh,
I would say
listen, that's probably for me. That's up there as one of the greatest movies ever fucking made. I mean, movies based off war. That Platoon. Oh my god,
yeah,
Platoon and
Chris,
fucking
Raiders
as
of the
well.
Lost Ark. And
Yeah.
Raymond says Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood Western. I would even go back as far as during the '80s. This is the time where we were kind of in the same situation we are now, and we were looking for heroes to come and, when the lawless became the law, as we are right now. Dirty Harry films, the
I just threw
Charles
that up.
Bronson,
Just as
the
soon as you
Charles
said that, I threw that up there. I
the
literally put Dirty Harry movies. I've been
right,
watching that
Charles
franchise.
Charles yeah, the Charles Bronson movies, the Death Wish movies.
Yeah,
These
Death
were during a
Wish.
time because people were not happy. They didn't feel safe. They were. The crime rate was going out of control, and they found solace in these movies because
Yeah,
they finally had a voice that fought back. We don't have those voices today
exactly.
that need to fight back, and if they do, nobody's putting them out there.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Hollywood is disconnected to what you
Mm.
and I wanted out there. Back to the Future, yes, Lindsay, yeah. I mean, there's such great movies that come out
Yeah.
over there. One movie I want to focus on because I really came to terms with it. On one of my favorite characters is in a movie that hardly gets a mention, but I think it's one of the greatest '80s movies ever. Is Real Genius. And one of my favorite characters of all time, because I can relate to this character, is Chris Knight, done by Val Kilmer. And those two, Gabe Jarrett and Val Kilmer, when they were doing their buddy buddy thing, I thought they sparked off perfectly well. It was Val who was taking, it was Chris Knight taking, I forgot the character's name, but the new kid under his wing because he knew exactly what he was going through, and he didn't want him to go through that. And he already established in Chris Knight's world, the guy who lived in the closet with the underground basement and stuff like that. But I grew attached to Chris Knight because he was like me. I used to be very comedic, but I thought I was that kind of smart kid that kind of went smart ass every now and then. And that was just my character. That was something I could relate to. And Val Kilmer portrayed it so well. And I could relate to that. And for those folks who follow that, Val Kilmer does not look like me. I didn't need people to look like me. I just had to believe in what they'd done. or the character they were portraying or the story that they were putting out. And if I could find that relationship, which a lot of people did, because I think for the most part, people wanted to do better. They wanted to be better. And here are these characters that were fighting against all odds to become better people. So
So we got The Crying Game, The Woke Brigade, also love it.
I
But it's a
actually
great movie,
never seen The
fantastic
Crying Game.
soundtrack. The Crying Game is a great movie, no matter what anybody says. Back to the Future, yeah. I got Cheryl to recently watch, obviously, as you know, Back to the Future 1, Part 1. She watched Back to the Future Part 2. She said it wasn't as good as the first one, but she really enjoyed it. And then she saw the end of Back to the Future 2 where they go back. So she hasn't watched the third one yet, but Cheryl had never seen that trilogy. So it's our first time watching it. We've got also, everybody you can hear car alarm, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Unforgiven, as we said there, and Halloween 1978 from Lindsay there. Yeah, the first Halloween movie is still to me the best one. We've got 48 Hours. Yeah, I love 48 Hours and another 48 Hours. The Lethal Weapon series as well, and we had the Rocky franchise.
Ghostbusters, right?
And we had Ghostbusters as well. And remember, Ghostbuster did use early CGI, but look at even that CGI compared to the CGI that they use in the Flash movie. I'm telling you, it's that bad. I don't know how. And then the director comes out, or the writer, whoever it is, comes out and says, oh no, it's not bad CGI. It's because you're seeing it through the Flash's eyes. That's why it looks that distorted. No, it looks that distorted because he's a lazy shits and he's panicking over this movie and he's did a load of edits and all of this to it and he's did that and the other to it and he's added unnecessary cameos, shoehorned them in from Ember Berries to try everything to get people to watch this pile of crap. Well, it's backfired. DC now, in my opinion, and I said this, as I said this to Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge. In my opinion, I think, they put all of their chips on this movie. They were hoping that people would forget Ezra Miller's, indiscretions. They thought by, as I said, inserting those member berries in, that would be enough to try and carry this movie. But it's going to flop, and they'd be lucky if they break even. To be quite honest with you, but it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. The DC now, in my opinion, are done. No, they are. They're not going to recover from this. They won't. They can't.
I would add to this. You said 48 Hours. I would just say the Beverly Hills Cop, the first.
Oh yeah, but Beverly Hills, right? I do like the first movie. I love the second movie. Right, the first movie was always the grittier movie. The second movie, it was less gritty, but it was still a great movie. I mean, that second movie for me, I love it. Yeah. The second movie wasn't as gritty as the first one. But then the third one in Wally, what was it? Wally's World or whatever.
Oh, I pretend that never happened.
I mean, that was absurd. That was an absolute. Now, don't get me wrong. It has some of the funniest moments in the franchise, and Eddie Murphy is funny. But those working together, those three actors working together, just bounce off each other, brilliant for that franchise. So I forgive the third movie. I really do. I do forgive it. But this is why he's coming back to make a fourth one now, because apparently he was never happy with the third one. I just hope it goes back to its grittier roots, like it did with the first one. The second one was still gritty, but it wasn't as gritty. Watch the two of them back to back. You'll notice there is a tonal shift, right? And by the time you get to the third one, it's completely gone the opposite way. It's just like this is just Eddie Murphy show.
Well, you had incredible dynamic actors. The first one, I would say, put everything into play because we were writing the story on Axel Foley, and we were riding along with Axel Foley. Then the second movie moves to an ensemble cast. Now we got a relationship with the Judge Reinhold and the John Ashton character. Now I got to look it up. But okay, Taggart.
Foley.
and Rosewood. Now you got more of an ensemble cast. Now you got Ronnie Cox in there, and he's taken out, or at least he's put into the
I do like
hospital.
Serge though.
Which really, yeah, Serge. Don't get me started. This would be, I mean, we would have like a movie every day now to talk about. But it was more focused on Eddie, and because we were writing on Eddie on the first movie, which I can see why you say it's grittier. For me, it was the second one because now we got the ensemble cast. Bogomil is in the hospital, so it raises the stakes. And now you're seeing a more grittier, in my opinion, because now you're seeing their characters work together, and they're going against this arms dealer. And the stakes are even higher because they're ready to blow away. And then you get to see more of Rosewood, who's really like this.
Yeah, it is the Rosewood show for the second one, definitely.
Right. He's kind of tree hugging at the same time. He's got a gun behind the tree that he's hugging. And Taggart is just like is bringing everything to reality. And watching those three play off of each other on the stakes of Bogomil's, incident, it really worked out. And I was hoping that if they had a third film, they had to have the three of them working together to do it one more time. But they only brought in Rosewood, and the story got really just bizarre. And it was just like, to me, the second one, my opinion, was the better one because you got to see the dynamic. It wasn't just on Axel's story.
I get what you're saying in that aspect of it. Yeah, if you were looking at the three characters, the second one does actually explore the other two, in particular, Taggart. We get a little bit more background into his life and stuff like that, and it seems to be a running thing. Even in the third movie, even though Taggart is not in it, they bring up the fact that he's divorced from his wife now and all of that. But the third one killed it for me. But as I said, that movie has some iconic moments in it, though, I have to admit. That one is definitely the Eddie Murphy show.
It had a few, but one of my favorite moments is when in 2 is when they're doing a police chase and Rosewood gets this dump truck or something like that, or some kind of truck, and I'm at the classic line where Eddie goes, "Are you really driving this thing, or are you like using the force?" You had all these wonderful moments that just kept the audience laughing their butts off, and it just kept it entertaining. It knew the balance of when to go into drama, when it got into the heat of things, but then when it got into the character mode to kind of subside and take it easy and breathe, take a deep breath and enjoy their characterization, how they sparred off each other. And then you could tell the three of them were just having a blast making that movie. Whereas the first one, it was great, but it's just focused on Axel. And I understand it. I loved the first one as well. Don't get me wrong. But now we get to see the dynamics because they were kind of just like the side characters, whereas I think they had more of a stake in what was going on, and being part of the second movie only strengthened Axel's characteristic to take the three of them together and work together as a team to try to take down the arms dealer guy.
Now, here's an interesting one for you. So I've put this up on screen, as you can see, True Grit. But which version do you like? Because there's obviously two versions now of True Grit. Now, when I heard this movie was going to be remade or remake, whatever, right? Yeah. I was like, no. I mean, True Grit is an iconic movie. Why? Right? But then I saw the updated version of this movie, and I was blown away. Right? And I've got to be honest with you. I actually prefer the newer version to the original. But any of you guys, which version of True Grit? Because there's Raymond Williams. He's at the putting up there. True Grit, definitely the John Wayne version. I love the remake. He says, I only watched it once. I've seen the Wayne film a dozen times. Well, look, of course, we are entitled to our own opinion. So I'm not going to say anything about that. But I do love the John Wayne version. But I got to be honest, I do like the updated version. There's just something about that movie. I just
it's okay. Like I wish we had more time, but I've seen True Grit once. I don't remember it too well. I know the John Wayne aspect of it. It's one of those movies.
It's the Jeff Bridges one. Jeff Bridges was in the new version of True Grit. And what's his face is in it as well. What's that actor? Is it Matt Damon? Isn't it? Is it Matt Damon?
I haven't
he's
seen
in
the
it
new
as
version,
well.
so.
No, listen, man, it is a good. It is. I look. Raymond has his opinion on it. Raymond is kind of like my dad. He's more into, he prefers the older westerns to the new modern westerns today. In fairness, though, I will say, they don't seem to get modern westerns right all the time. But this was one movie that I really liked, and I loved the end of it as well. I thought the end of it was very poignant, actually. Have to be honest. But
I got to spend a day watching John Wayne movies again. It's been
I love John Wayne movies. Look,
the Duke
was a legend. I grew up watching all of his movies, all of Clint Eastwood's movies. John Cadney movies as well, I think.
James
Look,
Cagney,
I grew up. Look at James Cadney. Sorry. Look, I grew up with all of these movies. The BBC Two was back in the day when I was growing up. Used to show a lot of westerns on a Saturday and a Sunday over the weekend, and I'd definitely watch them. I've grown up with westerns all my life, the spaghetti westerns, all of that, man. I love it. I love them. You'll never get movies like them again, though. That's the thing. You will never get movies like them again. They were great. But look, I think we have to wrap up now because Christian, sorry, I don't want to be calling you Chris, so I'll call you by your Christian. Needs to head. No, I don't like that myself because people used to call me Noli, stuff like that. It's not Noli, it's Noel. Like, just, call me by my name. I'm one of those. Rio Bravo. Jesus, don't even go there with that movie. That was epic.
I mean, this doesn't sound like a one episode thing. We could spend probably a year.
Yeah, we'll do another one. We'll come back. Look, we'll come back next week and we'll continue this conversation. We'll do a part 2. I'll edit the stream name here, so I'll put why old Hollywood movies are better part 1, and we'll do a part 2 next week. So get your thinking caps on, guys, and start getting these movies in, and we'll talk about them because it is good to compare to what we get today. Again, another great movie that they made in recent times actually is Gladiator. I know they're doing a part 2, and it's not going to be the same. I recently watched Gladiator.
Lindsay,
when I got to the end, I don't know, it's because I'm getting older, but I got to the end of that movie and I was crying like a little baby. I was, man.
Lindsay, if we go into Hammer Films, we will never get done. I mean, we could probably run we could probably week-long marathon. We might even look at stuff, but yeah, it's
We'll do a part 2. Don't worry. Do you know what? If we can keep momentum up going for this for a few weeks, we'll keep it going for a few weeks. If it doesn't get tired, we'll do a couple of more, right? So leave it with us. So we'll do a second part to this next week. So get you our thinking caps on, get you our movies in. Even if it's not mainstream movies, if there's a favorite movie, tell us why you think it's better than any movies that you've seen recently. That's the type of stuff we want coming from you guys in the chat. So we'll leave it there for tonight. So I'll get Christian to do his shout out to social medias and let you know what he has up and coming on the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. And I'll do my stuff then in a after Christian is WC, because I know he has to head off. So go ahead, Christian.
No problem there. Thank you, Noel, as always, and hopefully you guys can continue to join us every Tuesday on the topics that we're going to be bringing up out here. I've already put in the chats, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook page. We're very excited. Tomorrow, please join us if you can. I know it's going to be late. It'll probably be 12:30 in the morning for you guys. But tomorrow, we will be doing a live trivia and cosplay gathering over at Graffiti Junction. It's going to be live. We're actually going to have a Dalek on the premises, a fully functioning Dalek. We're going to have trivia out there. Unfortunately, unless you're out there, you can't win the prizes, but you can win the bragging rights. You can go to youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. It's already in the post. And plus, I usually get what they call it, the imposter syndrome, and I'm usually not one to push my stuff out there, but for the facebook.com, The Traveling TARDIS, this past Father's Day, and I hope everybody who is father out there had an awesome day. And as always, I'll hope 365 days a year. We just surpassed 69,000 Facebook followers, and we woke up this morning to find out we're halfway to 70,000. I know that sounds very weird. It's a big number, but just to give you a perspective, Big Finish Facebook page is at 71,000. We are closing in on Big Finish, and that makes us really proud as far as the attention that we get. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, bye for now. Appreciate it. Please stay safe out there. Don't forget to subscribe to Noel's membership. We're going to get him his shoes, his Shooty Got Well shoes, and we're going to make sure he gets it someday. But in the meantime, we hope to catch you tomorrow live at our feed. It's a 2-hour run if you can stay up that late. And also on our Facebook and YouTube channel. We're also on TikTok and all that if you want to. But the two main primary places you want to go is Facebook and YouTube. So thank you, Noel. Thank you, everybody. Please stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.
Fantastic. See you later, Christian.
See you, brother.
Right, so we got a couple of more comments there. So all movies are better because they have a story to tell. New movies suck because they have activism to tell. That would be a nice little summary there. Tardis time. This has been a lovely live. Thanks all. No problem. That's what I mean. We want to do things different now. There's some people out there skeptical that I won't be able to resist talking about Doctor Who, especially New Who. But no, as I said, I'm done. We will see. Some people have left a comment and asked me, if I'm going to cover the 60th anniversary. We'll just have to wait and see. But right now, no. And this is why we're doing streams like this. Now, I don't know what the story is with tomorrow right now, guys, and I'll just explain. It's my birthday tomorrow, so the 21st of June, Midsummer's Day, the longest day of the year. So I might be going out for something to eat, but that could be early now because apparently they're going to be doing some waterworks around here and stuff like that. So we were thinking of maybe going out early afternoon, and I mean early afternoon, and going and getting a bite to eat, and then coming back then. And then if I feel up to it, then we'll be streaming obviously the normal time, which will be 7 o'clock with Queen Charlotte, and hopefully, I don't know, because the last time we spoke, I know he was busy, but hopefully PD Rich will be joining us as well. And of course, we'll be talking about different stuff tomorrow as well. And that's what we're going to be doing. And then for any of you guys that are football fans, I have set up Manchester United fan channel. So if there's any football, even if you're not Manchester United fans, but you want to hear a bit of football, subscribe to Noel the Red Devil on YouTube. And we're also on Rumble, and I will be maybe doing a stream on that as well tomorrow. I don't know. Everything is up in the air right now, but I'll know how I feel tomorrow when I wake up. That's what's going to depend on how I feel. Then I might be streaming on Rumble about all of this Titanic mystery and the disappearance of a sub. And some people believe that it might be down at the wreckage. And if that's the case now, we have to have a serious conversation about people going to the wreck now. They reckon in 20 to 30 years' time anyway, the wreck will be completely gone. So I think, people forget that Titanic is a grave site, and it should be respected. Apparently the original plaque was stolen from the wreck site. So that's what I plan on talking about on Rumble with Real Super Doctor. I will let you know anyway. If you see me tomorrow, you will see me tomorrow. If you don't, you will see me on Thursday anyway. Okay, but more than I'll see, because I normally stream on my birthday anyway. Because I don't be really in the humor of doing that, so. We'll see. Anyway, we'll leave it there. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you to everybody that watched their comeback stream yesterday. We've got over 300 views on that now. If you haven't watched it, I talk about the grifters in the Doctor Who fandom. I don't mention any names, but if you want to go and check that stream out, please do. It's after getting a very positive reaction off a lot of people. So I'm actually delighted about that, because it's one of those topics that, you know, I was kind of like saying to myself, well, I can get a bit stick here and it can backfire on me. But you know me, guys, I don't hold back, and you know, I take these topics on, even if I do get some stick over it. But you know, things had to be said. You know, I felt very strongly about the stuff that's going on and in society as a whole as well, because we spoke about all the other stuff that goes on in society. So I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. If you haven't watched it, please do. If you have watched it and you have enjoyed it, please get it out there. Don't forget to share it, and you know, alert people to it, and hopefully then, you know, people might come and check out the channel and like what we do here, guys, and you know, it'll be good. It'll be great. Anyway, I will leave it there. So yeah, as I said, Chris has put up the Rumble. We haven't streamed there now in a while, but I will be streaming again there. We did a stream with a couple of streams with Lee, and I will be bringing Lee back on again, and we will be doing streams on Rumble. Remember, I've been away for 2 weeks now, so everything will be will fall back into place. And yeah, so get over there on Rumble. Give me a follow if you haven't already. And as I said, if you're a football fan and you want some Manchester United updates and stuff like that, go and subscribe to me on Noel, the Red Devil channel on YouTube. Thank you very much. Where is this Rumble? I can't find it. Google it. Right in Google Rumble. The app should come up, and then click into it. I don't know what you have. I don't know what you have to do to be able to follow people. I don't know if you actually need to set up something, but check it out. I don't know. Some people say it's not available in some parts of the UK, but in saying that, some people from the UK are actually on it. So I don't know how they've got around that. But if there's anybody in the chat that can help Tardis time out, because you know me for all of this technology crap, and help him out maybe. But yeah, you know me with technology, guys. Jesus. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening. We got thunderstorms and rain here today. There's an orange warning everywhere. Everybody's losing the plot over the weather, man. Jesus, just bleeding weather. Get over it. But yeah, everybody's losing the plot. You know, biblical times and all of this, the world's end and all of this nonsense. Will you get away? You know, flash floods everywhere. You think we were living in biblical times the way they go on? Seriously, man. Oh, the world's crazy. Right. Anyway, good evening. Good night. See you tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate the support. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.